Okay, I'm live. Let me just reset the chat, because apparently I have to do that every time. Okay, that looks like that did it. Somebody post something so I can make sure it's working. Please. Why the fuck am I unlisted? God damn it. This fucking thing always defaults to unlisted. I don't know why the fuck it assumes I want to do an unlisted stream. Okay, somebody please, we couldn't update your video. Well, it says public, so obviously you did update it. Somebody please post something in the chat so I can make sure. Well, it says 0 viewers anyway, so... So why this shit takes 7 hours when it should only take like 5? Okay, thank you, Oblivious. And it posted. Good. I made the screen a little bit smaller. I can't believe it caught that. It's so fucking small on here. And it's fucking Hellraiser Hellseeker. Come on. Take a fucking chill pill, Lionsgate. For Christ's sakes. Maybe I should make this even a little smaller. I'm really sick of this crap. I just want to have an... I just want an uninterrupted stream. Fuck. And so much for my... I had such a nice little setup here, and now it looks like crap, because I have to keep making the screen smaller and smaller and smaller. And backwards, and whatever else. Hi, Johannes. Shut up, Artie. Hi, Robert. Hi, Red Hat. Meg. 9 viewers. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Christopher. Just got the notification while binge watching pitch meetings. I'm finally there from the beginning. No, this isn't the beginning. This is the second stream. Lionsgate, like, no, it's my toy. Playing music in my room to chill out my dog. She has anxiety. Aw. Hi, Styx. I saw you pop up in the last stream right before it ended. Okay, let's just go back to this. There's not really a lot of people in here yet, but I'm impatient. I don't want this stream to take all fucking night. I was lured to this place and given something that was supposed to solve his marriage problem, i.e. get rid of Kirsty in some way. So either this guy was really Pinhead or an agent of his.
I hope it's everything you want it to be.
That's another echo from earlier.
I hope it's everything you want it to be.
Anyway, Kirsty opened the puzzle box as the Cenobites watched in secret, and she was transported to hell.
Kirsty.
How did you find me?
You opened a door long ago, and it will not be closed until I get what I came for. What I want is you.
Yep, after all these years, Pinhead still wants to hit that. And now all of the Cenobites come out of the woodwork, including Chatterer 3.0. This scene was originally longer, but they cut it down, and I can't believe they did that, because there's a longer version on YouTube I do where not want to keep Pinhead dealing with references this all the first day. 2 movies, and it's so amazing. Here.
They will all be waiting for you at the gates of your hell.
Now you can see the whole chat.
The uncle, still lusting after what he cannot have, the sweetly sinful stepmother, and, of course, the father, who aches to hold his little girl again.
What the fuck? Why would you cut that out? I guess maybe because this movie is more about Trevor, and they thought it made Kirsty's scene too much about her. Lionsgate, more but like come on, Mindsgate, you know we're am I all right? here for Kirsty, and they already kind of made it about True her with the romantic. murder investigation and the inheritance and all that. That bit of fan service wouldn't have killed them. Hell, it even kind of explains why Pinhead is after her again, despite helping her escape in Hellbound.
But there was another bargain, wasn't there? You will not have forgotten that I gave myself to let you run. Did you think that gift was nobly and freely given? Did you?
I mean, maybe it's not totally necessary because we can assume that now that he's no longer human, he doesn't care about her safety anymore, but I thought that including that bit of info was a nice touch. There was also a line explaining why Kirsty opened the box in the first place. She thought that Trevor would get transported to hell and not her.
He wanted you here, not me.
Maybe it would be good to have this up here. Since he was the one who wanted her to open it, along the lines of Chennard and Tiffany in Hellbound.
Wait! Wait! What if I make you a deal?
Interesting.
Oh, Pinhead, are you never gonna stop letting Kirsty make deals with you?
I will bring you 5 souls in exchange for mine.
And there she goes again. I am definitely gonna talk about the implications of this later.
You would bring them to me yourself.
You'll get your 5.
So it was actually Kirsty who killed the 3 women Trevor was cheating on her with.
3 of your favorite companions, most supple and delicious.
He outdid himself with that line. Along with the guy whom he was conspiring to kill her.
I'd almost rather be in the puzzle box.
It turns out that that scene in the beginning was a lot different in reality.
Kirsty, come on. Don't you lie to me!
They were actually arguing.
But I made a better offer. Guess what? He took it.
Welcome to the worst nightmare of all. Reality.
And that was how the car ended up going off the bridge, with Kirsty being the one to get out of the car and swim to the surface. And now we're back to where we were before Pinhead showed up. And it turns out that Trevor was dead all along and has been in hell all of this time.
I'm the 5th soul.
Back in the real world, Kirsty is identifying his body and telling
Women
Detective
Mayhem has
Lang
some
that Trevor had
stamina.
shot himself.
Next thing I knew, we were in the water. I couldn't see anything.
And of course, they already suspected Trevor of committing the murder, so Kirsty confirms it.
Not your lucky day, was it? Check the oral cap.
The older doctor from earlier is actually a coroner. Presumably, whenever he was examining Trevor earlier, it was actually this coroner examining Trevor's corpse. And when he hallucinated a live eel coming out of his mouth, it was actually this coroner pulling out a dead one.
Wait. Sorry, I had to leave you like that for a minute, Trev.
Another coroner is Allison, who apparently talks to the corpses because she believes that they can hear her.
What if there's no afterlife? Wouldn't you want someone to talk to you like a normal human being one last time?
So every time she was counseling Trevor earlier, it was actually this coroner talking to his corpse. And during those times when he couldn't find her, it was because she had stepped away from his corpse, and of course he couldn't call out to her. So basically, in death, he was vaguely aware of things going on around him enough, where he was able to fill in the blanks with his imagination. Oof. There's some existential horror for you.
Creeping me out. I'm the coroner.
Meanwhile, as
creeping me out
Kirsty
and
is
I'm the
about to
coroner.
walk
I love
away,
that line.
Lang stops her.
I wonder if you know anything about this. We found it in the car.
It was my anniversary gift.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you take it home?
Just what she always wanted.
Thank you.
The end. So that was Hellseeker, and it's pretty damn good. Not really getting the hate for the straight-to-DVD sequels. I will, though, don't worry. The only downside to this one is that if you're watching these in order and kind of close together like I originally did, it's hard not to note.
I just realized I could, with how small this is on the screen now, I could probably bump down the quality a little bit and it won't. Oh, actually, it's already a 360. Well, I can't even change it. What? Oh. Whatever.
Notice that aside from Kirsty's role, it's got practically the same plot as Inferno. Basically, guy who is an asshole gets the puzzle box.
I forgot I always pause and get caught up on the chat during this point, but I pretty much already am caught up. Dang mayhem. More and more I'm relating to that line of reality being the worst nightmare as I get older. Yeah, mood. Pinhead needs to handle Flo the same way he dealt with mayhem. I don't know if I'd mind that. I'm a little tired of Flo. I think Kirsty's been in other things. I mean, she almost turned this movie down because she had other things going on. I don't know, maybe she switched to being a stage actor or something. Sometimes that happens. What I was trying to say was Inferno was good enough to be its own IP, and making it a Hellraiser sequel was disrespectful. Yeah, I kind of got the gist of it, it's just it was worded weird. You could use it to prop a window open or something. Yes, Tracy, we're back for now. I made the screen a lot smaller and put the chat box next to it. I don't know if that'll help, but I feel like she needs to just dump that puzzle box cement in an iron safe and drop in the ocean. Yeah, I like this one better than Inferno, which I talk about. Oh, actually, I talk about it here. Let me back up a tiny bit.
Not to notice that, aside from Kirsty's role, it's got practically the same plot as Inferno. Basically, guy who is an asshole gets the puzzle box, spends the rest of the movie being really disoriented and seeing weird things, only to discover in the end that he was in hell all along. And hell, both stories involve a murder case, and the concept of duality is brought up. And with how much I originally liked Inferno, this one kind of disappointed me. At first. Now that I'm watching it again, especially after seeing some of the criticisms people left in the comments section when I covered Inferno, I actually think this one is handled better. In retrospect, I think that Inferno made a mistake in showing us up front what an asshole the protagonist is. It seemed to cause some people to not care what happened to him. Personally, even though Joseph wasn't likable, I thought he was an interesting character study with how he justified his actions, and I liked the contrast of how he had a soft spot for children and a sense of justice. But with Pinhead seeming to be some god of punishment in the vein of Hades or Osiris, and how he seemed to seek Joseph out for being a bad person rather than being drawn to his hedonism, like with his former victims, the whole thing kind of feels like an Aesop about how bad behavior has repercussions. Which isn't a bad thing in and of itself, it just feels a little out of place for a Hellraiser movie. Trevor, on the other hand, is a blank slate. The movie starts off with him losing his wife in a car accident and having amnesia about what led up to it, and we have no specific reason to think that he did anything wrong. If anything, we'd probably be feeling sorry for him since he seems to perpetually get the short end of the stick throughout this movie. But then it gradually reveals, through his memories, that he had flings with 3 women, his marriage was definitely not as idyllic as he remembered it, and eventually he decided to murder his wife to get her inheritance. Also, Pinhead mentions being drawn to him because he was an interesting study due to his lust and greed. So, in this movie, it's not so much about punishment, it's more about collecting another soul due to their hedonism making them a viable target. Even if it does end with Trevor getting what's coming to him. Again, like Frank. Although I wouldn't call Trevor a Frank XB. Maybe he would come across that way if this movie treated him the way Inferno treated Joseph, but this movie was a lot more subtle about it. The only possible downside to Trevor is that the movie takes so much time to reveal his sins that we don't really get to find out what led him to that. Hell, technically, we don't even know what Trevor was really like. We only see little glimpses of the real Trevor. It would have been nice if we could have gotten into his head a little more like we did with Joseph. Basically, Joseph and Trevor are 2 ends of a spectrum of how you could handle this sort of character. I think somewhere in the middle is ideal, but definitely closer to Trevor. So I made a comment about Kirsty a while back, and I've been waiting 4 movies to finish that thought. This is only the beginning of how she will do whatever it takes to survive, and any...
Oh, I gotta read the text on here because it's backwards for you guys. Yeah, like I said yesterday, I was glad I watched all of the movies before making these videos so I could notice this stuff. Anyway, it says, nice background 2014, Dina.
Anyone who has to be sacrificed in the process is SOL. Well, I will eventually get to my point in a later video. I just wanted to send up a flag here signifying that this is where it starts. So, in Hellraiser, Kirsty discovers that her Uncle Frank, who had gone missing for a while, has basically come back from the dead and is regenerating. As she opens the lament configuration, the Cenobites come for her, and she realizes that the same thing must have happened to Frank, and that they probably wouldn't like the fact that he got away from them. So she makes a deal with them, throwing Frank under the bus. Granted, Frank is hardly a sympathetic character, but I think it says interesting things about Kirsty, that she isn't at all squeamish about sending him back to hell if it means saving her own skin, so to speak.
Maybe not.
In Hellbound, Kirsty goes back to hell because she is led to believe that her dad is there, so she can save him. That alone is pretty badass, but it's a red herring and all it ends up doing is getting her in trouble with the Cenobites again. Also, this happens.
There it is.
That's never gonna get old. It's almost as if Julia held out her hand and Kirsty knocked herself out trying to headbutt it. Definitely not one of Kirsty's finer moments. Anyway, she doesn't exactly make any deals with the Cenobites this time. She gets them on her side and they die protecting her. I suppose you could say she threw them under the bus. The main thing Kirsty did in this movie that I thought was really impressive was that she wore Julia's discarded skin to disguise herself as Julia, not unlike what Frank did in the first movie, and made out with Chenard's Cenobite to distract him so Tiffany could get away. Granted, that's more gross than anything, but like I said when I covered that movie, it shows how she's willing to do anything to survive, and that it's not the worst thing that she ends up doing. But here we are 15 years later, and she's making a deal with the Cenobites again. And this time, she throws 5 people under the bus. And I'm not even really judging. She has been to hell and is all too familiar with its residents. I don't blame her one damn bit for the better them than me attitude. Plus, this isn't the first time she's made a deal with them, so she probably thinks that she needs to go big or go home with it. But let's be honest, it's pretty damn horrible. Sure, Trevor and his friend were planning on killing her, so it could almost be seen as self-defense with them. But the other 3 were just women who Trevor was having an affair with, and we hardly know anything about them. They might not have even known that he was married. And she condemned all of them to eternal torture to save her own butt. Not to mention that Pinhead didn't make it easy on her and demanded that she kill them herself. So apparently what we saw happening in these scenes were done by Kirsty in reality. Detective Lang pointed out that the victims were tortured before they were shot. It's possible that the Cenobites were the ones doing the torturing and she just pulled the trigger at the end. I actually kind of wonder if the man with the mask is meant to represent Kirsty, since he's spotted near where Sage and Brett die and stalks Trevor throughout the movie. Remember that a lot of what we see happening in this movie only vaguely resembles what happened in reality. Trevor could have spotted someone stalking him in reality, but didn't get a good look and just assumed it was a man, so the figure took that form in the vision later. Seriously, don't fuck with Kirsty. Speaking of which, poor Kirsty just can't get a break. Not only does she lose her father and almost literally have to make a deal with the devil just to survive, and then end up in a mental institution, which leads her back into hell, has it confirmed to her that her dad has gone to hell and there's no way to save him. And now she gets betrayed by her husband and has to almost literally make another deal with the devil just to survive. And this bit where she's walking away from the scene at the end, I can't find it now, it doesn't appear to be on Wikipedia or the Cenobite Wiki. But I remember some website describing this as Kirsty walks away finally at peace. And that's not how I see it. She does look relatively pleased with herself until the detective gives her the lament configuration, reminding her of her past. Was this deal she made with the Cenobites really the end of it? Because the Cenobites' realm has basically been revealed to be literal hell, and with all Kirsty has done, won't she end up going to hell when she dies anyway? Maybe that's why Pinhead let her get away with making this deal in the first place. Maybe it gives him 5 extra souls, and eventually Kirsty. Maybe she's just prolonging the inevitable. Not that I don't love Kirsty and that I wouldn't like for her to have a happy ending if it was possible, but it just seems unlikely that she'll get away with what she did in this movie. And I think she knows it too. Well, with Inferno I complained about how the Cenobites didn't get very much screen time, and good God, I had forgotten how much worse it gets. Basically, each Cenobite, other than Pinhead, in this movie gets about 2 shots where you can see them clearly for a few seconds, and that's it. And you can barely make out Chatterer 3 in the one shot of him. So there's probably going to be a lot of repeated clips, slowed down clips, and screenshots. Sorry. Since I always start with my least favorite, it's a bit sad that I'm starting with a Chatterer this time. Honestly, if this was the first Chatterer I ever saw, I'd probably think that Chatterer 3 was pretty cool. But he's really just the same concept as the original Chatterer, but less detailed. Not to mention that we've also had Chatterbeast and Torso, who had more interesting things going for them, so this one just kind of feels like a step back. He's only shown in one scene, and it's not a very clear shot. He does show up again in a couple more sequels. I'll probably have a little more to say about him after we've gotten a better look. Bound doesn't appear to have any visible cuts on her body. Mainly she's wearing a leather corset that shows a lot of cleavage with a skirt, something of a female version of Pinhead's outfit. All of the damage done to her appears to be on her head. The top of her scalp is missing a big patch of skin, with the remaining skin around it being stretched upward and secured with bolts of some kind. She also has a leather strap going across her eyes and another gagging her, with crisscrossing metal wires wrapped around her head holding them in place, tightly enough to cut into her skin and draw blood. It's an interesting design with a neat little dichotomy with how the outfit is sexy but her head looks horrible. The Cenobite wiki doesn't give her much of a backstory other than it is rumored that she was married to a homicidal maniac. Stitch has kind of a similar design, except that the outfit is a bit more revealing, and her belt is made of intestine, her own according to the Cenobite wiki. The skin on her face appears to have been peeled away in strips, and then woven tightly back together up the middle and secured with staples, with basically the same thing happening on the sides of her head. I put her a step above Bound just because I think the details on her are more interesting. According to the Cenobite wiki, she lived in the 17th century and rejected the Bible despite her father being a preacher. She was to be burned at the stake for witchcraft, but before that could happen, she was given the lament configuration and solved it, entering hell to escape execution. Surgeon is the most detailed and the coolest looking of the new Cenobites in this movie. His lips are pulled away from his teeth like Chatterer, but held open with pieces of metal which are attached to more straps of metal that are bolted to his skull, including a couple of caps that appear to be bolted into his eye sockets. Yikes. Unfortunately, the upper part of his outfit is identical to Pinhead's. Sadly, we're going to see a lot of that later on. But at least in the case of this one, I feel like the rest of the details make up for it. He just looks really cool. Instead of a skirt like Pinhead, he wears pants with kind of a short half skirt in the back. According to the Cenobite wiki, he's also the doctor operating on Trevor in the beginning. And his backstory is kind of typical for this type of character.
I don't think I planned
He was a
that.
renowned surgeon until he lost a
did.
patient and couldn't deal with it, so he turned to the lament configuration. Also, I'll just leave this here. There's just something so unsettling about
Take a
the
drink.
deranged doctor. Something about all that knowledge of human anatomy being put in the wrong hands. I honestly feel kind of bad for the FX department. They came up with these cool-looking Cenobites and they're hardly ever shown. Not to mention the actors who had to sit in the makeup chair for several hours. The Cenobites in Inferno got very little screen time as well, but at least they were kind of showcased, so you still got a pretty good look at them. With these ones, it felt like they just got thrown in wherever.
Welcome to the worst nightmare of all. Reality.
I think for once I don't have too much to say about Pinhead this time. He has an amazing presence, as always, and I don't notice any difference in his appearance since Inferno, except that they don't use that cool lighting effect here, and I kinda miss it. Once again, the movie isn't about him, but this time he manages to have a pretty good amount of screen time anyway. Definitely more than Inferno, which is good. They struck a good balance this time. We get to see him enough to make us happy, but not so much that we get tired of him. And Doug Bradley knocks it out of the park once again.
Is it so difficult to face your demons?
I love how he confronts Trevor in the end and he seems willing to just talk to him for a while, but Trevor gets uppity and Pinhead just kind of raises his voice.
Let me see my wife.
I said in time.
And then Trevor reaches for a weapon and Pinhead is just like, really?
All problems solved. Not so simple, I'm afraid.
And then he just continues with what he was gonna say. That's just a great bit and it shows how he's gone back to being just someone with a job to do instead of being outright evil. And of course, it's great to see him confront Kirsty again. But do yourself a favor, if you take my advice and watch this on your own, pause it when he and Kirsty meet, load up the YouTube video that has the unedited version of the scene, and watch that before continuing.
It was your loving husband.
Probably
who
an
did the
extra
hard
on the
work.
DVD too.
He
I
made
didn't
it
think of
easy
that.
for me. It seems your family always does.
It just adds so much. I still can't believe they cut it down. If I had to complain about something, it's that he doesn't say suffer or flesh one time in this movie. What the hell, writer? But seriously though, if my biggest complaint about Pinhead is that
suffer
the
or
suffer
flesh,
and
0
flesh
out of
counts
10.
don't go up, I'm happy. As always, he has some great lines.
Which do you find more exhilarating, Trevor? The pain or the pleasure? Personally, I prefer pain.
This one kind of gives me chills.
They are all with me now.
In any case, I definitely recommend Hellseeker. It still feels a bit different from the earlier Hellraiser movies, but I think that might be lack of gore more than anything. It's straight to DVD, therefore it's going to be low budget, but it feels more like a Hellraiser movie than Inferno does. And not just because of Kirsty, though having her return definitely helps. There are some nice little callbacks to the earlier movies, and it's just also really good on its own. It's really dark, and I like that little existential punch at the end. Is it the best Hellraiser movie since Hellbound? Better than Hell on Earth, but I still like Bloodline better than this one. But I don't expect everyone to agree with me on that. I guess that's about all I have to say about Hellseeker, except for one amusing fun fact.
Oh, yeah.
I already mentioned that Trevor was played by Dean Winters, aka Mayhem from the Allstate commercials. Well, Ashley Lawrence was once in a Geico commercial, so that makes these two kind of an amusing casting choice, especially considering the car accident in the beginning. That's it for now. See you next time.
Time here. Dean Winters was also on Law & Order SVU a few seasons ago as Olivia's love interest. That's not really fair. He was actually on the show a lot more than that. He wasn't just Olivia's love interest, but that was what I was remembering at the time. I like him a lot, but it'll always be Mayhem to me. Also, I was tempted to make a joke about Kirsty protecting herself from Mayhem when she shot Trevor, but decided against it.
If you got cut rate insurance, it might not pay for all this. So get Allstate.
Protect your home with an Allstate agent. Are you in good hands?
Some people didn't get this gag and actually thought an Allstate commercial cut into my video. I have a feeling she could launch the puzzle box into the sun and it'd still somehow come back to her. Well, you know, there is more than one puzzle box, so... Deleting comments is a habit from other streams where the chat zooms so fast I want to give people a second to be read. Fair enough, but I would prefer that you didn't, just because I like for videos to be I like for these to be watchable later as regular videos, and I want people to be able to see the comments I'm reacting to. I don't know what happened with Tiffany. Ask Clive Barker. Or read the Boom comics. Like I said, the Boom comics, she was kind of weird in the Boom comics. She felt like an entirely different character. What have I missed? Well, me fighting with YouTube, and you missed Hellraiser, Inferno, and probably roughly the first half of this one. Or this one that just ended. You ever notice you never see Joseph and the engineer in the same room together? How did I just realize that skinless corpse she sees is her dad's? You mean the one in Hellbound? Well, she thinks it's her dad's. It turns out to be Frank, apparently. Oh yeah, Special Iron here tonight. Yeah. He said he might not be able to make it towards the end of the stream. Last time. Yeah, I think he said he might be able to make it late, but yeah. I miss Doug Bradley's Pinhead, yeah. Apparently Pinhead did get killed off in the Scarlet Gospel. That's interesting. Kirsty is a bit of a bastard for what she did here, but I like the idea that there are ultimately no good people in Hellraiser. Yeah, same. I don't know why people want her to be a... Some people are really pissed off about that, but like, why does she have to be a good person? Good people aren't always interesting characters. Pinhead, I am inevitable. Didn't Didn't Thanos say that? Pinhead is going to tap that sooner or later, Kirsty. That's another point to the deranged doctor clip counter, yep. That line about reality keeps aging better in the worst way as time goes on. Yeah, it's true. No stuff for a flush in this movie, 0 out of 10. Dina, 2022. Never knows you never see Trevor and Mayhem in the same room together. I wonder what happened to Steve. Who knows? Who cares? My favorite line in the series is still, "Do I look like someone who cares what God thinks?" A lot of great lines from Pinhead, though, yeah. Frank is daddy after all. Oh God, somebody posted in the comments section of my Hellbound video, insisting on their headcanon that Frank is actually Kirsty's dad. It's what? Where the hell do you get that from? I think his logic was that because he had sex with Julia, that must mean he also had sex with Kirsty's mom. So he's like Kirsty's bio dad or something, but it didn't make sense, and it was really annoying about how the guy kept insisting it was the case, because Clive Barker has specifically said that the reason that Larry didn't show up in Hellraiser 2 was because Andrew Robinson wasn't able to be in it, or decided not to do it, whatever, and they weren't trying to say that with Kirsty seeing a skinless body and thinking it was Larry and it turning out to be Frank. There was nothing to that except Frank tricking her. Still have no idea what's going on in this series. I don't know why. I don't think it's that complicated. People open the box and they go to hell. They try to get out of hell. They usually end up getting out of hell. The end. Technically, Pinhead's supposed to be female. If Clive Barker reboots the series, he could do that. I guess technically, yeah. Agent Smith would also use the word inevitable, though it was less he is inevitable and more that the final fight between him and Neo was. Steve? Yeah, exactly. Steve who? Of course Pinhead's into S&M. What the hell else? The hell else would you call it? Regarding no good people in Hellraiser, quote Hawkeye from MASH, there are no innocent bystanders in hell. I like that line. Who else thinks Pinhead's sexy? In his own way, yeah, kinda. Okay, I'm gonna go to the restroom really quick, and then I will be right back. Maybe I'll get water too while I'm away. ERB. I'll try to be quick. Okay. So how many videos did I miss before Part 2A began? You missed... Let's see, I think... definitely Inferno and maybe the first half or so of... Hellseeker. Oh. Oh, was someone subscribing. Thank you for the subscription, Philip, if you're watching. You never really know. Could be subscribing because he's watching one of my videos. I wonder if we were in the Matrix, would Hellraiser just be a dump file? Good question. This is the most BDSM thing I have seen since 50 Shades of Grey. The consent issue is even worse in Hellraiser. Hard as that may be to believe. New Pinhead actress is a trans woman and Barker is producing, so it looks like they're going that route. That's interesting. Fun fact, so you're into S&M is a genuine line in the original Japanese dub of Sonic X Rouge. Dub of Sonic X. Rouge says... I was starting to think there was something called Sonic X Rouge. I didn't notice the period there. So you're into S&M is a genuine line in the original Japanese dub of Sonic X. Rouge says it to a police officer who just handcuffed her. What the fuck, Japan? So not Deader yet or Hellworld. I think, yeah, Deader is next. The English dub changed it to "You're pretty tough for an old lady." Yeah, that's much better. It was unlisted? That first one was? That's weird. I thought I checked. YouTube keeps, like, defaulting my streams to, unlisted lately. Okay. Eating dates and walnuts, if anyone's wondering. Hey, this is Dina. Welcome to the den. So, guess what movie is finally coming out? Not that I was especially looking forward to Hellraiser Judgment, but that silly thing was in development hell for so long, har har. At least the wait is over. Deader is a bad title. I had fun with that.
But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I am doing these in order, and I've got 3 more Hellraiser sequels to go before I get to that one. So anyway, let's just dive right into Hellraiser Deader. Terrible title. Right off the bat, I'm noticing that the last 2 movies had really interesting opening credit sequences, where this one is very minimal.
Deader is a weird one in the series, yeah.
That's not a bad thing. The first few movies were like that, but they had really intense music to make up for it. I still don't think this is a bad thing, just worth noticing. That font could be more interesting, though. Huh, Stan Winston was involved in this? In any case, this hallway with an ominous door at the end is going to come up again later. So we open on the aftermath of what must have been one hell of a party.
What is this, Breaking Bad?
So this lady starts taking pictures.
You want any of this?
She was at Jesse's party.
Got what I need.
And it turns out that she's a reporter who wrote an article called How to Be a Crack Whore. Some kind of undercover expose on drug culture, apparently. This is Amy, and she works for a London newspaper. She shows up for work late and doesn't bother with a meeting.
Thanks again for your contribution, Klein.
So this is that kind of character who thumbs her nose at authority because she's so cool, and the only reason she doesn't get fired is because she's such a great reporter that they can't afford to lose her.
The arrival of the delightful and world-famous Amy Klein.
Oh, this character, God.
She also looks a little like Angelina Jolie to me.
But this, my dear...
In any case, her boss has a videotape he needs her to look at.
With your encyclopedic knowledge of skankology, have you ever heard of...
Skankology?
Yeah, me. I owe 2 months' salary on my credit cards.
No, not debtors. Debtors.
You know, deader, as in not just regular dead, but extra dead. Like dead, deader, and deadest. Then on the other end of the spectrum, we have mostly dead.
There's a big difference between mostly dead and all dead.
This is something you must see for yourself.
In any case, the video was filmed by a lady named Marla, and it shows footage of a cult who are preparing to do some kind of ritual.
Don't be frightened. I don't like this part.
Say it for me.
My skin isn't real. I'm not real.
Clearly they're about to do something hideous to this poor woman, considering they have her laid down on a plastic sheet.
I'm not real.
Or they have her shoot herself in the head. Pretty tame for a Hellraiser movie. So, this guy, who is apparently the leader of this cult, kisses the dead woman and somehow brings her back to life.
Tell me this is some kind of special effect.
Considering that this had to have been filmed with multiple cameras, and someone had to edit it together, and it's even edited in such a way that allows for a ton of cheating, I don't know why either of you think it's real. Come on, movie, if you're gonna go the found footage route, you have to commit to it. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. If you're gonna do found footage, it's gotta be one camera. Anyway, that happened in Romania, and now she has the option to go there undercover and find out what really happened.
You know me too well.
What keeps me up at night?
So of course she accepts and hops on a train. She tracks down the return address from the videotape, and it takes her to a pretty run-down apartment. It smells bad and there are flies. That's not a good sign. She bribes the landlord to let her in for 5 minutes.
Oh. Does it always smell like that in there?
Like what?
Okay, that was funny. Anyway, the place is obviously long abandoned. Almost looked like Frank used to live there. She's about to go in the bedroom, but she spots Marla in the bathroom. Amy quickly goes through her things, finding a journal with photographs of the cult. Before leaving, she goes back into the room with the corpse and finds another envelope that appears to contain another videotape. It takes her a couple tries to get it, but then she spots what the audience probably already noticed, that Marla's dead hand is clutching a lament configuration. Amy pries it out of her hand. Considering how long the movie lingered on that corpse, it was kind of predictable. Naturally, Amy gets the hell out of there. Yeah, I'd need a drink after that, too. Anyway, now in her own hotel room, she opens the envelope. As expected, it contains another VHS tape, but also a key.
Whoever you are, you were meant to find me today.
What, were you born in a barn? Get your feet off the table.
You wouldn't be here if you didn't belong here, too.
Apparently this was Marla's suicide note, which was also a warning to whoever found her body.
But I don't know how to get back. He'll expose your own demons to you, and he'll ask you to join him. But don't, because there is no turning back. And above all, don't open the box.
But she tells where to go and to meet someone there.
Please do it for us.
Marla had said not to open the box, so of course Amy's going to do it anyway. Are you sure that's a real lament configuration? It looks like a cheap knockoff. Why are the chains in these later sequels so damn thick? And in this case, they're also CG. Hey, look who's here already.
Don't think for a moment you are not in danger.
And now she seems to have a vision. Remember the door at the end of the hallway in the opening credits? But I guess none of that actually happened.
Hello.
7 days.
Help us, Amy.
Oh, that's 7 days. So sometime later, she goes to a subway station. I think I know what this person represents, but I'll save it for later since it'd be a pretty big spoiler.
Oh my god, if yet another Hellraiser sequel borrows from Jacob's Ladder, I am gonna fucking lose it. Nah, this one doesn't do that. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this subway train, but it doesn't feel like it's intentionally referencing Jacob's Ladder. Once again, though, there is a hell of a party going on, and wow, you could totally see that guy's junk. There's actually a hilarious amount of TNA in this scene. I know there's supposed to be a big orgy going on, but the movie keeps cutting back to this naked lesbian makeout to the point where it starts to feel kind of forced.
Now here comes the damage, so...
Anyway, she was supposed to meet a guy named Joey, who turns out to be this weirdo.
Amy Klein.
I have to admit, I kind of get a kick out of this guy.
A man named Winter.
The plot thickens. Don't tell me you're mixed up with those motherfuckers.
So she asks him about the debtors.
Some say he's like this fucked up guru, but they all live together in this house, you know, those who believe, I mean.
He seems to know where to find them, but doesn't want to tell her.
You got this fucked up, self-destructive thing going on.
But then she whips out the puzzle box.
And that is making me very unhappy.
Which apparently helps.
Amy Klein! Don't do it.
For what it's worth, he seems genuinely concerned about her.
I got that fucked up, self-destructive thing going on.
Yes, you do. Only he can bring you back.
She's just like, okay, all of that was a thing that just happened. Well, at least she doesn't have to look very far to find the cult leader. This is the guy named Winter who was mentioned earlier. And as he's following her, the visions come back. Think there might be a connection? Well, so much for asking him any questions, I guess.
Where is he?
But they end up not finding a body, so it could be that she was
Well, the
just
thing is, if I look at it and I immediately can tell it's
especially
CG,
since
it's
she
bad
later
CG.
sees him boarding the train.
Hey! I saw what you did to Marla!
But she doesn't get a chance to catch up to him. Stay classy, cop. Oops. The idea of being arrested in a foreign country sounds scary to me, but Amy seems to have made something of a career out of it because she gives no fucks. Anyway, her boss has to come and bail her out.
They were thinking of shipping you off to the government asylum for observation.
She asks why he put her on this assignment.
For the average person, the hunger for knowledge is like the hunger for food. We want to know just enough to take the edge off our appetite. But you are a glutton. You can't help
Just
overeating.
looked up and saw
All that
puzzle
stuff I
box
don't
titties
eat,
and it cracked me up.
So I send you in to do the eating for me so I get to experience it without actually suffering any mental indigestion.
Thanks a lot. So I do all the suffering.
Nobody's forcing anything down your throat.
Oh my god, enough with the food metaphors.
You know, there's something vaguely demonic about you, Charles.
Did you know the word demon comes from the Greek word for knowledge?
He's not just pulling that out of his ass. The earliest demons, back before Christianity decided they were evil, were basically teachers. This guy taught moral and natural philosophy. Anyway,
Professor
after Charles
Lionwheel.
goes home, Amy takes a cab to follow that earlier lead from before she got arrested. Of course it's locked. Did you really think they'd let anyone just walk in? Wait a minute though, didn't she have a key earlier?
The food conversation in the chat, I was totally thinking that.
Nice jump scare. So she goes through a door and down some stairs, down a long hallway.
She's like, God damn it.
Shit.
I have to admit, I don't know if it's intentional, but this vaguely reminds me of the labyrinth in Hellbound. She ends up in a passageway that gets tighter and tighter. And then, of course, her lighter goes out.
Fuck!
Actually reminds me a little of Resident Evil 7.
Jesus, fuck!
Yeah, I know they're obviously CG, but they still make me uncomfortable. Anyway, it continues to get tighter, and now she's stuck to the point that she can't move, which leaves her vulnerable. But that was another hallucination, including the tight hallway. I like to think that this guy was watching her the whole time and wondering why she was miming being trapped against the wall.
Follow me.
So the guy leads her straight to another ritual. This time it's a man being brought back from the dead. Good to know that Winter is an equal opportunity necromancer. So while these people get brought back to life, it appears that their wounds never heal, and I guess they're fine with that. Anyway, she follows Winter.
Amy Klein.
And it turns
Okay,
out
Johannes,
that he
thanks
knows
for
who
stopping
she
by.
is and
I chose you.
was basically behind her being there.
What is it?
Oh.
Passed down through many generations. Left here as a gift. Don't think for 1 second that you are not in danger.
Hey, that's the line Pinhead said earlier. So he basically says a lot of purple prose that doesn't amount to much that we didn't already know. He seems to think he's some kind of messiah who can bring people back from the darkness after they've committed suicide. But he needs her help for some reason. She accuses him of doing something terrible to Marla, but he claims that it was what she wanted.
She didn't want to become one of you. That's why she killed herself.
Marla will never really die because she's not really alive. The more she doubts, the deader she becomes.
Look who knows so much, huh?
I know what I saw in that room was real, like this flesh.
You really think he wouldn't have a counter for that, considering what he said on the videotape? Her visions continue, and now it's becoming pretty clear that this girl was her and this man raped her. Apparently, Winter has been causing her to have that flashback. So now Amy is in the spot where the victims end up, and another ritual begins.
You opened the box. Now I need you to take the next step. The box and all its powers belong to me. Accept my gift.
Yeah, that's what they all say, am I right?
No more pain. Only pleasure.
But apparently that was all a hallucination. Except that her boot is muddy from earlier, so not all of it was.
Get it together.
Okay, so I'm well past the halfway point, and things are just starting to get interesting, so I'm gonna end part 1 here. Honestly, this movie is alright, so if you're interested in watching it, be sure to do that before I get to part 2.
Yeah, let me just skip to the next one. Here we go. Dead and Deader was the subtitle for House of the Dead 3. Oh my god. Hellraiser Diddler. Kinda. It's a movie about zombie cultists. Weird. Yeah, I'd call that weird. Oh. Oh, it didn't show up yet. Where is it? There it is. Oh, thank you, Damien. Didn't make a noise. I guess maybe it doesn't for super chats? Or is it just the lag? There it goes. Yeah, I'd never played Dead by Daylight because I don't like multiplayer games, but I am aware that Pinhead's in it. I haven't yet, though, because I don't have a PS4 yet. You think I have a PS4? Is it really a pet peeve to expect found footage when you're looking at what's supposedly found footage? I mean, yeah, I would still call that a pet peeve. It's funny, I was just watching this the other night for the first time in years. Not too bad. But, and it's an unpopular opinion, but Hellseeker is one of my straight-to-DVD picks. Yeah, I think Hellseeker's pretty good. Someone get a person to clean that place. I too get annoyed by found footage in movies and TV that is clearly professionally edited. I mean, I guess there are probably situations where it would make sense for the video to be edited, but if it was something someone just filmed and then handed and then, you know, left a tape for you to find, it wouldn't be edited. I have some of the best commentary with my videos. Thank you so much, Derpy. I didn't notice you posting before, so hello. I'm not gonna read that "Everyone's Dead Dave" meme. Those chains be thick. Joey kind of looks like Ramsay Snow. I don't know who that is. Deaders, every time I hear it, I keep thinking they mean Deadites. Oh, yeah. I just looked up and saw Puzzle Box titties and it cracked me up. Yeah, I already read that one, but... that was funny. Winter is coming. I'm sad I didn't think to make that joke. I think Game of Thrones was already on when I was making this one. It does kind of sound like Malcolm McDowell. Silent Hill movie alleyway scene vibes. Yeah, I can kind of see that. I don't remember if I may have said that already. Hellraiser 7 mashup. For me, this was the last good Hellraiser movie. Yeah. Good might be a little generous. Definitely better than the ones that came after it. Hellraiser Judgment is basically Hellraiser mixed with 7. Oh, I can kind of see that based on what I've heard. They make another Silent Hill. This could be a solid plot for the story. A reporter seeking knowledge going too deep. Forget Hellraiser. They should just name this series BDSM the movies. So is this Flatliners. Oh yeah, I think I've seen people compare it to that before. So Deader can be listed as It's All a Dream? No, not really. Silent Hill X Hellraiser, that'd be something. Yeah. Oh, you tried my... It's not deep fried, but yeah, fried burrito recipe, and it was delicious. Awesome. Yeah, I had that when I had that again when Lee was out of town recently. It's really good. I like it a lot. I ate it every single day, and I never quite got tired of it. Every day for like 2 weeks. In Bloodline, you said it's interesting Pinhead knows he's looking at Earth since he died before the space age. We mapped the world before satellites the hard way. He had a rough idea of how it looked. Yeah. Yeah, rough idea. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I have Pusheen as my little alert. Always a bit of delay between YouTube chat and chat displaying your video. Oh, I know. I seemed like a longer delay than usual, but apparently not. I also couldn't remember if it made the sound for super chats or not. I wish I could afford a PS4. I'd get, yeah. I would like to have a PS4. There were definitely some games that came out for it that I would like to have played that were exclusive to it, which made me mad. Oh, hi, Kel. Yeah, you're definitely late. Off topic as hell, but Pusheen always reminds me of my friend's cat who was originally named Pusheen because he's all gray, but then she got really stoned and came up with Charlie Pusheen. I feel like that's a reference I should get. You may have been asked already, but what did you think of Resident Evil Village? I never played it, but based on the Let's Plays I saw, it was interesting. Of course, Lady Dimitrescu was not in it a whole lot. I kind of saw that coming, though. I kicked around the idea of possibly cosplaying as her for like 5 minutes, and then I realized I wouldn't want the kind of attention I would get. Sorry for the mental image, but it just popped into my head, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was a thing. My Little Pony / Hellraiser crossover. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. No, I didn't even watch Game of Thrones. I have no desire to review it. Any opinion on Diary of the Dead? George Romero's attempt at found footage. I have not seen it. Someone has specific taste in entertainment. I love that line. Sometimes dead is better. Oh, dead is deader, of course. Burritos are alright, I honestly prefer wraps. Yeah, well, this was about something I sort of came up with where I would put chili in a burrito. I would put like a layer of like refried beans, and then a layer of cheese, and then a layer of chili, and then another layer of cheese, and then I would wrap it up and I would fry it in a pan with some butter, and it was so good. Can we expect more cooking with Dina? More likely I would make stuff for my baking channel, but I haven't been baking anything lately. I do have one recipe I would like to get out before the end of summer. It's strawberry cheesecake cookies with lemon chips. It's a good spring/summer dessert. Then fall is gonna get here, and I have all kinds of ideas for fall desserts. Ash would just solve the box with a chainsaw, groovy. Oh, as in Charlie Sheen, duh. I knew it had to be something like that. It sounded familiar, I just didn't quite click. There are some interesting Resident Evil movies. Yeah, I liked the first few. After a certain point, I kind of stopped watching them for no particular reason, but I liked the Resident Evil movies. Do people even play Resident Evil 8 after Lady D leaves the game, lol? Game of Thrones has disturbing rape scenes anyway. Yeah, not so much a fan of that. Oh, that font almost looks like it almost looks like Comic Sans, and I think I used Comic Sans for the little part 2 at the bottom. So later that night, yeah, she was definitely raped as a child. Also, she gets stabbed in the back. Interesting bit of symbolism there. The knife is still in her back, and she has a chest wound where just the very tip of the blade is just barely poking through. Something about that just really makes my skin crawl. It gives me kind of a almost a trypophobia kind of reaction to just the tip of the blade sticking out, just the very tip. I don't know what it is, but something like a hole with something inside the hole. I guess that's what it makes me think of, and it's almost a trypophobia type thing. And I almost mentioned trypophobia, but then I went, not technically trypophobia. I don't want to deal with people correcting me in the comments, so I left it out. So she's still alive and well, despite having been impaled on a knife, and alive and naturally that causes her to freak the fuck out. It was a nipple shot I forgot to censor. It seems like this one would have to be a hallucination, but she's not coming out of it. She finally comes up with a plan to get the knife out of her back. She can't be killed now, but she can definitely still feel pain. In Archer's voice, just the tip. Don't worry, I've already hit my Ring reference quota for this one.
Only he can bring you back, Amy.
What the fuck have you done to me?
Oh, I didn't know Nichelle Nichols died. That's a bummer.
Pinhead is back about an hour in.
Nor will I.
Who are you? Why did you do this to me?
Who I am is no concern of yours. And you may be assured that this is not my handiwork.
He actually said something really similar in Inferno.
Heard her.
What are you?
What I am, who I am, is no concern of yours. I am not.
Shouldn't she have bled out by now?
Ask yourself
I know,
this,
right?
When you stand
almost like that might
there,
become
your
important
flesh
later.
Exposed, paddling in a pool of your own blood.
Yay, the flesh count went up. Now he just has to say suffer at some point. He's not going to, though. Also,
paddling in a pool of your own blood.
Paddling in the pool of your own blood. He always paints such a picture with his words.
Why is it that you feel no pain?
Not to argue with Pinhead or anything, but it seemed to me like she was feeling plenty of pain. Maybe not since the knife came out.
You have been recruited as a soldier in another man's war. A war that he can never win. You opened the box, and your soul belongs to me.
Just look at that little smirk.
As does his.
So it turns out that the Deaders have found a way into the Cenobite realm, but they can't reach it without Amy.
I am your redeemer. I am the way.
And that's a line he said in Hell on Earth.
I am the way.
It was a lot more dramatic there, though.
No!
So Amy cleans herself up, but the bleeding isn't ever going to stop, so she has to at least try to stop it from getting everywhere and drawing attention to herself. But she ends up leaving puddles of it anyway. Remember that figure in the subway earlier who had a puddle of blood next to her foot? I think that was meant to be foreshadowing. Anyway, she has to clean up the blood so she won't leave a trail of bloody footprints. Especially since she's already gotten in trouble with the cops once before. Pretty clever.
Don't even stop.
So back in the train, she goes to talk to Joey again.
I need you to fucking help me!
And he just tells her to go with the flow.
There's nothing you can do about it anyway. I am away. We're all just pieces in Winter's puzzle.
Big help.
Would do anything to go to the edge, to the extreme. You know what our biggest problem is? Neither of us know when to get off the fucking train.
Metaphor.
Joey.
The train is looking a lot more hellish now. Finally, a non-Pinhead Cenobite. Hi, little sister. And hi, Marla.
What is happening to me?
We're dying. Right, me?
Marla, look at me. I just want to go home.
Amy.
She's going to say you are home, isn't she?
You are home.
God damn it.
What happened to you?
Just think of it this way.
When dialogue is really predictable.
You're just still walking around.
Well, now we know who stabbed Amy anyway.
Isn't that a bit unusual?
Kind of a dick move, Marla.
Why aren't you dead, Amy? Why aren't I?
I know, Marla, what the
Because
fuck?
when it's dark enough, there's no such thing. There's no difference between being dead and alive.
So now Amy is supposed to become a deader, and part of that involves facing her demons, which means remembering exactly what happened in her past.
wired to the top of stairs.
But then she wakes up in a mental institution and Charles is back.
I'm trying to get you out of here, back to London. But with that mess you made in your hotel room, they're not going to let you go so quickly.
He's being weirdly flippant about that, even for him.
That's the best fucking news I've heard in a long time.
What say we lose the charm bracelets for now, huh? Unless, of course, you find all this somehow
charm bracelets.
Don't drag me into your little fantasies, Charles.
You're in a Hellraiser movie. It's too late to back out of the kink.
I'm drawing pictures.
I'm not sure what the deal is with this girl. I thought she was supposed to represent Amy.
Want me to draw your picture?
But it seems like she'd have hair more like hers if that was the case. Also, she probably wouldn't have a British accent.
What do you think?
Wow, she's good for her age. Afterwards, she comes across what appears to be a still living Marla. And what kind of fucked up cartoon is she watching? Anyway,
I think someone told me it was a Felix the Cat video? I don't remember. Somebody told me what that video was, and I had to look it up because I was curious about it.
She asks Marla what's going on and why she's there.
Ultimate pleasure. Conditions of the nerve and use of likes of which your imagination could not hope to evoke.
At least that's what they say.
Apparently, for some reason, Winter can't solve the box, and it takes a certain amount of depravity and desperation, so that's why he's been taking these messed up people with dark pasts and messing with them further by killing them and then bringing them back.
So he's been on this quest for years, searching for that one mythical person. The one person willing to both join us, and who can solve the puzzle. That wasn't me.
But now that Amy has opened the box, there's no way out for her, and the only way to go is forward.
You opened the box, and only you can stop him now. Remember that. Looks like you're running out of time.
And now she's bleeding again. And now her memory is coming back in full force, and she's almost literally reliving it. After her father raped her, she got back at him by stabbing him in the stomach. So apparently her being stabbed is not only symbolic of the rape, but of what she did to him afterwards. And remembering the entirety of that tragedy was enough to drive her over the edge, because here she is again, this time almost ready to kill herself.
It is time for you to finish your journey.
I guess this is how he convinces people to kill themselves. He tells them it'll be over if they do, and then he resurrects them. That's fucked up.
Come on, Amy. You got that fucked up, destructive thing going on.
So Joey is one of the debtors after all. I guess that explains what happened on the train earlier.
You see, you're one of us now. All you have to do is take the final step.
So she turns the knife on herself. Or not.
I don't think so. Go to hell.
Cenobites, I choose you! In all seriousness, I'm not sure exactly how throwing the box summoned them, but there were already sparks coming out of the box, so maybe they were on their way. Pinhead, Chatterer 2, and Little Sister. Seems like there's fewer of them every time. The Cenobite section of this one is going to be short.
It seems that evil does run in the family.
So, not too much of a twist since it was hinted at earlier, but Winter is a descendant of Lumberchand, and he seems to think that that means he outranks Pinhead.
Belongs to me.
Which is kind of hilarious, especially if you've seen Bloodline and you know that Lumberchand only made the physical box. It was Delil who actually made it into a gateway to hell. Someone didn't do his homework.
That's where you're wrong. Painfully wrong.
Double meaning there. I could be saying that this guy didn't do his homework, or I could be saying that the writer didn't do his homework.
We belong to it.
Random little cameo by Stitch there.
Can't hurt me.
You're not the first to say that. And you won't be the last.
And here come the hooks. I noticed they haven't shown hooks piercing flesh up until this point. Even earlier when Amy opened the box, apparently there are hooks, but the chains wrap around the back of her head to the point where it looks like they're just forming a loop around the back.
Ooh, those are some big hooks.
Okay, that time we did, but it went by very fast, almost like they were censoring it. That's the look of a man who is pleased with the work he's done. Okay, there's the money shot. Also, ow! That hook has made a pretty big hole in his face. I like how the other debtors aren't very fazed by this. Okay, Pinhead, tell him how he's fucked up.
When you attempted to live beyond death, you entered into my domain. You should be very careful what you wish for. It just might come true.
And he goes out like Frank, though he's less cool about it.
No one will ever go out as cool as Frank.
Jesus wept.
And speaking of being careful what you wish for...
This world, it obviously disappoints you all. That is why you chose to begin this journey. Allow me to finish what he started.
Okay, why the giant snake-like chains? That's really random.
For fuck's sake.
I hear you, Joey.
You opened the box.
For fuck's sake.
You brought us all together.
So now it's just down to Amy and the Cenobites. Pinhead's like, oh, that's just cute. There's Stitch again. Oh, Hellbound too. Technically, there are a decent amount of Cenobites, just most of them are holdovers from previous movies.
Yes, your father is with me, and he is waiting for you.
And that sounds like something he said in Hellseeker.
They will all be waiting for you at the gates of your hell. The uncle, still lusting after what he cannot have.
Even if it wasn't in the final cut. Pinhead doesn't have a lot of original material this time around.
We're here to stop this, Amy. Don't let him take you. Only he can bring you back.
There is no way back but through me.
I didn't give my soul to him. I'm not gonna give it to you.
So, somehow stabbing herself causes her to die so she can avoid going to hell? I'm not sure how that works, but okay. I guess because Winter is dead so we can't bring her back? But he already did, so And that causes the Cenobites to be sent back. What are you so mad about? This happens like all the time. By now you should be more like... Later, Charles is watching a news report, and apparently Amy's body was never found, so she's presumed missing.
Too bad. It's gonna be a hell of a story.
He seemed like he was on friendly terms with her, but I guess he didn't actually care about her, only getting the story.
This keeps getting better and better.
Your 3 o'clock's here.
So now a new reporter comes in for a meeting with Charles, like Amy in the beginning.
I want to show you a tape that I just received.
But Winter is dead. What are you even doing, movie? Yeah, the puzzle box is still there, but this did not warrant a history is repeating itself kind of ending. This movie crashed pretty hard at the end, but I actually kind of enjoyed it up until that point. Okay, let me get caught up on the chat really quick. I think I lost my... Oh, no, I didn't lose my place. Good. Anyone watch The Sausage Guy? Short videos, tries out a bunch of eclectic sausage recipes, distinctive but fun voice. Never heard of him, but it sounds kind of interesting. Went to the Great British Food Festival on Friday. I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of good food. Had paella for lunch and churros. Oh, that sounds good. I like the Resident Evil movies too, but the animated Resident Evil movies are top notch. Oh yeah, I've heard that. I haven't seen any of them still. Pat Carroll? I'm not sure who that is. Another reason I find Pinhead sexy, his wording of such things, he's like a macabre poet. Yeah, that's true. Dina, I have such sights to show you. YouTube, no, tries to stop her from opening the box and melting our faces off. Knuckles should get in touch with Pinhead to find the way. According to the Bloodline script, Chatterbeast was the remains of a man and a dog put together after a car accident. Huh. That's interesting. This is why you don't open Pandora's, I mean Pinhead's box. I think I already said hello to Sod. think you should have had a pleasure word count in these videos as well. Yeah, that one probably gets said a lot too. Time to rewatch all Hellraisers and do a pleasure count. I'm almost tempted. What sucks about Judgment is that the chains have no hooks on them? Really? That's weird. Maybe the martyr effect via where Amy stabs herself to avoid hell as she redeemed herself. I mean, maybe, but like she was already undead, so like if she couldn't die before, why could she suddenly die now? I guess that was my issue. I don't know. So this movie wasn't all a dream? Fuck if I know. I forgot how confusing the ending was. Maybe she gave her heart to Jesus. Pinhead, I never lose. Yeah, you do. Literally every movie. Does he get amnesia between movies? Everyone in the series needs Jesus. Somebody quick tell Dina about the Hellraiser sequel scripts. Shit. And someone should give Amy's dad the old British knuckles. Pandora the Explorer's box. Oh my god. Call me slow of mind, but part man, part dog makes me think of Barf from Spaceballs. Oh yeah. Half man, half dog. I'm my own best friend. Hellraiser chains are like pop music, gotta have the hooks. I like that.
Ending aside, if you can separate this movie from the other Hellraiser movies and view it purely as its own thing, it's not bad. It's got some interesting ideas behind it and some interesting visuals. I actually would like to have seen what this would have been like without the Hellraiser elements added. Amy starts off as sort of a cliche badass sort of character, but she's kind of fun, and it's interesting watching her descent into despair when horrible things start happening to her. The actress who played her did a good job. Once she started to break down, I genuinely felt bad for her.
Oh yeah, apparently this lady was in, oh fuck, I can't think of the name of that show now. Time Slides? Is that what it was called? Oh wait, that's a Red Dwarf episode. What the fuck is the name of the show I'm thinking of? Oh well, fuck it.
And I have to admit that as much as I didn't want to, I do kind of get a kick out of Joey.
Yes, I've read the Hellbound Heart. I talked about it in the first video.
But he was kind of entertaining. Same goes for Charles, even though his heel turn at the end was totally unnecessary. I'll admit, this is the only Hellraiser sequel where I barely remembered anything about it before watching it again for this video, other than the scene where the knife is in Amy's back. I have to admit that, if nothing else, that stuck with me, and it's a pretty intense scene. But yeah, unfortunately this movie is kind of forgettable, but I wouldn't really call it bad, though it's easily the weakest of the straight-to-video Hellraiser movies. So far.
Always gotta add that they're gonna get worse.
This is one where you can really tell that it started off as another movie. The Hellraiser elements almost don't even fit with the main story. You have this cult leader who brings people to the brink of despair because that helps them to open the box, but then Marla mentions that people have opened it previously, but this way is supposed to make it a better experience somehow. It's really hard trying to make sense of some of this when trying to piece it together with the lore established in previous movies. Honestly, I'm not even sure what the purpose of this cult is supposed to be, despite all of the exposition trying to explain it. It's like they're exploring an alternative way of opening a portal into the Cenobite realm, except that it still involves the box, so what's the point? Regarding Cenobites, this is another area where this movie is kind of disappointing. Not including Pinhead, there are 5 of them, but 3 of those were from previous movies, and of the remaining 2, 1 ended up on the cutting room floor, and he was the most unique. As simple as it is, I like Little Sister's design. Going by my little headcanon that some Cenobites may have started off as non-human, she looks to be the same sort of demon as the Wire Twins, and looks kind of similar overall in the face. There are 5 wires going through each set of eyelids, sewing them shut. At the bottom, they're secured to a bar going through where her nose would be. At the top of her head, they join together and form a ponytail of sorts. She's weirdly cute in a way. Outfit-wise, she appears to be wearing a simple black leather bodysuit. It might just be for budget reasons, but I think it's kind of refreshing to see a female Cenobite who isn't sexualized in any way. Not that I have a problem with that, considering what the Cenobites represent.
Sliders, thank you.
It's just nice to see something different once in a while.
I never actually watched it. I just remember hearing she was in it.
It makes her look younger and more innocent, which might be what her name alludes to. According to the Cenobite wiki, as a human, though I still don't believe she was ever human, she was beautiful, smart, and had everything she ever wanted, though something was missing in her life, which turned out to be the Lament configuration. I've no idea where they got this info, since I'm pretty sure they had stopped making Cenobite action figures by this point. So there's no box to go by. They may have just pulled it out of the air for all I know. It sucks that the most unique-looking Cenobite in this movie ended up only in a deleted scene. Spike has a large and jagged golden spike through his head, with the skin around the hole peeled back and secured with little rivets into a steel helmet. Same goes for the top of his head, exposing his skull. I kind of love how extreme they went with this one. Like, Cenobites are probably some form of undead anyway, but with most of them you can imagine how they could theoretically live with most of those wounds. With this guy, that spike is so big his brain must have popped out the other side when it was inserted. Seeing someone walk around like this would be really surreal. But apparently he's a fan favorite and ended up in the Terrordrome game.
When you stand there, your flesh exposed, paddling in a pool of your own blood.
You know, I don't have that much to say about Pinhead that wouldn't be repeating myself. He's got some memorable lines.
I sacrificed my mortal self for that box.
I'm noticing a theme now where Pinhead has a speech at the end where he basically tells someone how they screwed up. In Inferno and Hellseeker, it was to the protagonist, but in this one it was Winter, which makes sense.
You attempted to live beyond death. You entered into my domain.
And then another one for the Deaders.
This world, it obviously disappoints you all.
Again, he's fun to watch. He has an okay amount of screen time, but a little more couldn't have hurt. This one is probably around the same amount as Inferno. At least we can appreciate seeing Doug Bradley play him again.
Love that face.
After the next movie, we won't be able to do that anymore. Speaking of which, I stumbled onto a gag reel from this movie on YouTube. Cute. And it's interesting how little they actually changed Doug Bradley's voice.
Oh, that's right.
If I wanted to harm you, we would not be exchanging pleasantries now.
And you may be assured that this is not my handiwork.
I thought it'd be more dramatic, but it seems like they only pitch it down a little. So I guess that's all I have to say about Deader. It's entertaining, but not that great. Again, I feel like they were trying to make a good movie, but they didn't succeed as well as with Inferno and Hellseeker. It's visually interesting, and I like a few of the characters, but that's about it. It's hard to think of what else I can say about this one. However, I suspect I will have a lot to say about the next movie. That's it for now. See you next time.
Indeed. The bleeding figure at the subway station could also have been Marla, since she was probably stalking Amy, considering that she ended up stabbing her and turned up a lot later in the movie. I could have made a running gag about how nearly everyone calls Amy Klein by her full name almost consistently, but I didn't pick up on it until it was too late. Yeah, I remember that. I end on that outtake.
Sorry. Cut!
Cut? I don't know, I love that for some reason. Almost flamboyant. Is Pinhead supposed to be anti-Jesus then? I mean, sometimes he seems to be, they seem to be going with that for him. I mean, Hellraiser 3 had him, you know, causing a church to collapse just by walking into it. Pinhead is that guy who keeps trying to throw the paper ball into the trash can, misses, and instead of dropping it in, he goes back to throw it again. Hi, Kenny. Have you read The Hellbound Heart? Oh, yeah, I already read that comment. I just didn't notice who was posting it. Still not convinced that Silent Hill Shattered Memories had Sybil in it, just Olivia Benson. Well, only one version of Sybil looked like her, so... There were 3 different versions of Sybil. Amy was in Thinner? Holy crap. I'll have to look that up later. That maybe could have been her. It's been a little while since I saw Thinner. So interesting fact, this was filmed alongside the later Prophecy movies, and you can see one of the frames from this movie and that movie. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, sliders. The Cenobite wiki is still defunct. Well, I haven't looked it up in a while, but I'm fairly sure it is. I don't know why they would take it down and then put it back up. Hang out at Cinnabon to chill with the Cenobites. Props to Hellraiser, one of the few Western horror stories to let the villains come as energy like lightning before turning into a physical body like a lot of Japanese media. That's interesting. Cinnabon. Isn't Henry Cavill in the next film? Yup. It doesn't go unnoticed either. Yeah, the name thing was weird, but at least it wasn't Dick Grayson, age 12. That stoner guy got stabbed through the chest and has a gaping hole. His reaction? Oh, for fuck's sakes. In a deadpan tone of voice. For the sake of the writers, I hope that was intentionally funny. Oh, I'm sure it was. He was he had a little bit of, that character had a little goofiness to him, so. And not the first time your name got auto-corrected to salad. That's funny. Well, I guess I'll just keep going. I might actually have time to watch all of these. I don't want to jinx it. Let me see, how long are the next ones? Well, we'll see how it goes. I should definitely be able to be done by 5, I would think. The chat's not as active as it was yesterday, so that helps a little. Accountant Cenobites must be another day, another dollar. My thought process, they're supernatural, go crazy, give them all sorts of powers. Yeah. Hi, Red Spade. I don't remember if I saw you earlier. I have a recorded VHS that has Hellworld on it, and it was the only Hellraiser movie I had seen for a long time, so Hellworld was has a nostalgic place in my heart. Well, yeah, I know how that is. Not with that movie, but in general. Hey, this is Dina. Welcome to the 8th Hellraiser movie. Oh yeah, this is where I changed my background. I decided to go a little more, simplistic? That's not quite the word I want, but minimalist, I guess? I think I noticed that Lindsay Ellis was filming her videos where it was just her with not too much in the background. I was like, I kind of like this. It was more of a close-up. I'm like, I kind of like this. It focuses more on me and less on, like, all of my stuff in the background. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just decided I like this method better. You ever seen the cover art for this one? It's a green-tinted image of Pinhead all covered in ones and zeros with the tagline, "Evil goes online." Out of context, it looks kind of cool. In context, it comes across like maybe the movie takes place inside of a game. Like somehow hell has taken over a game, and if you die in the game, you die in real life and go to hell? Maybe something like Stay Alive, but with Cenobites? That sounds terrible, but also kind of awesome. Honestly, when I was watching all these movies for the first time, I was looking forward to this one. If only Hellworld was anything like that. Darn, I don't get a Hellraiser movie where someone totally misrepresents Silent Hill 4.
It's easier to kill without the blasphemy.
Do you guys want me to read this to you? I'm just playing it over the clip where they're talking about how to beat Silent Hill. First of all, they're talking about the first Silent Hill game. Oh, they're talking about, that's right. They're talking about how do I beat Silent Hill 4. And I just, over this brief bit of them saying that, I have this whole wall of text. First of all, they're talking about the first Silent Hill game, not Silent Hill 4, because that's the only one where the Hyper Blaster is a weapon. Also, you can only get it after getting the UFO ending, which you can only get after getting the Good Plus ending. So he's beaten the full game at least once before and still doesn't know how to beat the final boss, even though it's the same strategy as when you're fighting Alessa. Like, how do you get so much wrong in so short a time?
do with it.
Movie where
back
someone,
it up so you can
only Hellworld
back
was
it up so you can
anything
hear the
like
whole thing.
Darn, I don't get a Hellraiser movie where someone totally misrepresents Silent Hill 4.
It's easier to kill her without the blaster than it is to with it. So just lose her right before going down the stairs, she'll die on her own. Game over.
We open on a guy digging a grave. Later we're gonna find out that his name is Adam. He must have just realized what movie he's in. Anyway, this is followed by a funeral for him where we're introduced to the group of friends he left behind.
Oh, by yes, you're talking
I have
about
to admit, I
reading
kind of
the
like the timing of Doug Bradley's credit. In general, I also get a kick out of a Hellraiser movie that starts off with all this Christian imagery. Yeah, it's kind of an obvious contradiction, and it's definitely been done before, but it's just one of those things that never gets old for me.
How you holding up, Jake?
I'm just great, Mike. Aren't we all just fucking great? I feel so much better now that you guys are here.
Everybody
Well,
in
that
this
was
movie is
uncalled for, Jake.
Such a dick.
By the way, yes, Mike over here is played by Henry Cavill. Anyway, through some exposition, we find out that the guy in the opening, Adam, has a mom who isn't handling his death too well, hence her
Okay,
absence
Shay
at the
Mary,
funeral,
thanks for stopping
and
by.
a dad who was MIA for most of his life. Remember that, it's going to be on the test later. By the way, the guy with the inhaler, Derek, is played by Khary Payton, who is the voice of Cyborg in all of the Teen Titans series.
I don't think he's got it, Dad. I think he was making it all up.
So it's almost like we've got a little DC reunion going on here. Anyway, they're all addicted to a game called Hellworld, and somehow Adam's death was a result of his addiction. So naturally they all feel responsible, and of course Jake has a big old chip on his shoulder about it.
We didn't do a damn thing. We have to live with that now.
After he
Superman
leaves,
and
Chelsea
Cyborg
goes
in the
up
same
to the
movie.
coffin. You probably shouldn't do that. Whenever there's a closed coffin, usually there's a really good reason. Incoming jump scare in 3, 2... If there was one thing the Hellraiser series needed, it's cliché horror tropes. Now it's 2 years later and there's a persistent knock at the door.
What's up, Mike?
Pre-union.
I want that mask.
Oh yeah, he's in The Witcher too, isn't he? I forgot about that.
No, your CG upper lip was scarier.
Mike, Cenobites don't exist. And even if they did, I never opened the Lamont configuration.
Get it? They're Hellraiser geeks. Oh, sorry, Hellworld geeks. Also, did she say Lamont configuration?
I never opened the Lamont configuration.
Why, that's a obscure reference there. That was Lamont from Sanford and Son. That's just.
Speaking of which, look at this.
I hear the name
crappy
Lamont,
Flash
I
game that
immediately
was
think of
supposed to be
Sanford and
so
Son.
addictive that a guy ended up killing himself.
I can't believe it's a box.
Oh, come on, open it.
Really? This reminds me of those old ads where the kids are way too enthusiastic about the toys they're playing with. The VR system that...
Special thanks to Mars Girl for suggesting that particular commercial. I made a Twitter post saying, what's a good example of one of those commercials where they show kids being way too enthusiastic about some dumb little toy?
Paul Merchant used to make a robot
She
solve the
suggested
Lament
that one.
configuration in Bloodline looked more fun. Anyway, solving this puzzle in the game unlocks an invitation to some Hellworld-themed party.
No guests.
The way she's squishing his face is sort of funny.
I can get my own invite.
Either way, Chelsea has outgrown the game and doesn't want to go to the party. Bleh.
Good night. This is like Space Voyage convention crap.
There is a major difference between space voyages and Hellraisers.
Our fandom is so much cooler than their fandom. Ugh. Oh, and fans of the game are called Hellraisers. Way to downplay the name of the franchise. Anyway, Allison hops into a car with
Lamont
Mike and Derek.
configuration. Okay, Sticks, thanks for stopping by.
And turns out Chelsea is going to the party after all.
Been away from the dark realm a while, Charles. How'd it feel playing again?
Just like any other ultra-violent.
How is it ultra-violent? It's a puzzle box solving simulator. I know this guy's the voice of Cyborg, but he sounds weirdly like Morgan Freeman to me in this scene.
100% mayhem, 0% guilt.
Anyway, they go on this road trip and end up at a mansion.
I'm guiding on to hell.
Gratuitous tit shot. Necessary tit shot.
Yeah, you made Hellraiser a game and it's not even called Hellraiser. It's a little late to try to be meta. Anyway, surprisingly, Jake, the guy who projected his aggression on them at the funeral, shows up.
I really fucking hated this movie.
Hi, Jay!
God, Allison is obnoxious. I already can't wait for her to die.
What the hell is he doing here?
There's some more exposition about how they haven't seen him since the funeral. He blames them for Adam's death and how they kind of blame themselves as well. But Mike mentions that Adam made his own decision.
So, what have you been up to, Jake?
Trying to forget the past.
We're about to meet the host, and holy crap, it's Lance Henriksen. I expect him to narrate like a Shawshank Redemption. That would have been funny. Lance Henriksen has only had about a minute of screen time, and I already feel like he's too good for this movie. So he shows them into a room that has lots of cool stuff in it. Some of it Hellworld related, some of it just random creepy stuff.
$5 to your future? Oh, this is where the shit hits the fan, guys.
I see someone doesn't know what the Death Tarot card means.
Did you see this? It's the La Marchand himself.
Yeah, they mention La Marchand, but don't expect any real connection to the other movies. I thought it was good. I'm gonna nitpick myself and say that I don't like the way I pronounced La Marchand's name. Like, I intentionally didn't go too heavy on the French accent because I just think that sounds weird. So when I'm saying a foreign name, I say it in kind of an American way because I just think it sounds more natural with the way I normally talk. But I could have done a little bit better than La Marchand. I could have said La Marchand. I think that would have been better. Going to turn out that the game was made by another descendant of his, or even just someone who experienced hell and survived and went on to make a game about it for some reason. But no, this story is a weird semi-meta alternate universe where Hellraiser exists as fiction, but instead of a series of movies, it's a game called Hellworld. So here's another thing to take notice of. Mike runs his finger over this card and gets some dust on it. Allison sprays perfume in her own face, which is brilliant. She's so fucking dumb and annoying. I hate her. That just leaves Chelsea and Jake as not having come in contact with some kind of liquid or powder.
I see you all have a fondness for the macabre.
Return to the puzzle box titties.
I'm an authority on Leviathan House. Philippe Marchand's second greatest architectural achievement.
So La Marchand made the mansion?
I assume you already know his first greatest.
Or he and his puzzle box are in this movie's canon and the game was based on that? What the fuck is the continuity here?
Like most great artists of his time, Le Marchand found himself commissioned by the church.
Wes Craven's new Pinhead. Okay, so Le Marchand was an architect, I guess.
Finest toy maker in France.
I think they're confusing him with John Merchant.
Then came the convent's final Mother Superior, Sister Ursula.
Anyway, there's talk of a nun who became obsessed with the puzzle box, which I believe is supposed to be a nod to the original female Cenobite, who was supposed to have originally been a nun according to some graphic novel or something, but don't expect them to do anything with that. Just makes you wish you were watching one of the first two movies.
Sometime during the blizzard of 1809, some 80 women vanished from this house without a trace. Ursula was the only one they found. You might say she went to pieces.
Anyway, the convent ended up being converted into an insane asylum, which might be haunted. You could say that if you like bad
And now
puns.
they're brought into this room full of medical specimens and some weird editing kicks in.
One cold spring morning, the team locked themselves in this surgical amphitheater, injected themselves with a local anesthetic, and dismembered one another.
Interesting backstory, though, even if it has fuck all to do with Hellraiser.
I wouldn't touch that if I were you. Often the butchery of human flesh was so monumental, they used these devices to discard the excess.
And you thought the hook was for, what, hanging their laundry?
Who owns the house today?
Anyway, I guess they won a contest and they own the house now? Jump scare in 3, 2...
Baby! That baby thing was Lee's idea.
Anyway, the host notices that Chelsea seems underwhelmed, which she has been pretty consistent about.
Some scary story. The puzzle box, a myth, and...
Okay, I'm officially done trying to figure out if La Marchand is supposed to be real or not. I've already given it more thought than this movie has.
Thirsting for something more.
Something I believe.
Oh, you're right, this is a second character named Allison.
And now she's been stuck. Slight spoiler, they've all been drugged in some way or another except for Jake, but we won't find out how until later. Suddenly Pinhead.
Adam was right.
God.
Followed by other visions, including being buried alive in a coffin.
No, the counter's only for when Pinhead says it.
I'll try to contain myself.
So they're led into a dance hall where each of them gets a mask with a number on it and a cell phone.
This is so stupid.
This party has a ridiculously high budget.
God, a day in the life of you guys. Has nothing ever changed?
Willy Wonka, Sean.
Much as I love watching old wounds being opened.
Gee, it's almost like he knows something, which Chelsea seems to pick up on.
Still haven't found your date?
It turns out that Jake didn't bring a friend so much as he met someone online who he came here to meet in person. Maybe that's her. Or not. I like how the whole point of this party is supposed to be anonymous debauchery, but it seems like half the guests aren't wearing masks, and our main characters have theirs off most of the time.
What the fuck?
I'm not hurting anybody.
The only way you guys ever enjoy yourselves is when you're hurting someone.
You can earn your hatred, Jake. None of us earned it.
You guys don't earn anything. You just take it.
Oh my god, shut the fuck up, Judgy McJudgerson. I hate this guy. Honestly, all these characters kind of suck. Most of them aren't aggressively annoying, but they're just not interesting. Derek is sort of cute and has a couple of funny moments.
God damn, y'all funny.
But even he wears thin after a while.
I have a bit of a soft
I'm
spot
actually
for
skipping
Derek.
over a lot of dialogue that's meant to be funny but falls flat for me.
So, here we are again. Just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
I
I'm
thought
mad
Mike
Morpheus.
seemed to be way more into Chelsea than she was into him. There's a love triangle of sorts because she was in love with Adam.
It's dead, Chelsea. Move on.
You know what, Mike? When you sober up, I expect an apology.
Yeah, that wasn't a very super thing to say, Mike.
Boy, hey, baby.
This bit is kind of funny. This guy
yeah.
tries to make a move on Chelsea.
Enjoy the party. Asshole.
Afterwards, he looks uncomfortable for a minute.
Hey, baby.
And then shrugs it off and moves on to various other women in exactly the same way. Meanwhile,
Hey, baby.
Allison
Hey,
finds
baby.
a room with the sign saying
That's
keep
kinda
out,
funny.
so naturally she goes in anyway.
As if.
Was anyone still saying as if in 2006? I doubt it.
Hey, how's it hanging?
Every time I see it, it gets worse somehow. I can believe it.
Gosh, I sure hope nothing bad happens to Allison. She's such a great character. She finds some kind of execution chair,
Don't try this at home.
which of course she sits on because nothing bad could happen there. And here comes the host.
It's been used to drain the blood of Hellworld explorers, since Leviathan himself first spoke the realm into being.
To paraphrase Kat from Red Dwarf, if we say words like Lamerchan, Lament Configuration, and Leviathan...
It looks like we know what we're doing.
It's perfect.
That's another bit special Iron Mist.
Cutting blades from
And now it's a Saw movie. Yeah, that would hurt. Wait, why are the blades further away now?
Yeah,
No one is controlling them.
so
They were supposed to
inconsistent
be
with that.
automatically moving closer to her neck.
Believe Adam now, Allison.
Chelsea hears her screams and finds her, but can't open the door.
Mirror words.
And I guess she figures she imagined it or something.
Hello?
She ends up in another room with this guy.
Can you imagine if everyone said talk to the hand along with that as if? Oh, God.
Meanwhile, Jake ends up finding a monitor with a picture of him and Adam on it. The host shows up again, and it turns out that he knew Adam somehow.
Adam was a very talented player. In fact, he was so passionate about Hellworld that he made this.
Okay, do I need to bring out the red flag again?
It's not real, is it?
And now Jake is drugged along with the rest of them.
Is it just a game now, Jake?
Pinhead's role in this movie seems to be messenger boy.
Adam told me to tell you.
On the upside, it took 4 whole movies before I needed this again. I guess that's good.
I actually forgot that I used the red flag again. I think I still have it around here somewhere.
Again, great that we have all this anonymity. These masks aren't pointless at all. So yeah, Mike is about to hook up with this girl.
Wanna dance? Wanna party?
Meanwhile, what the fuck are you still doing here, Jake? You just saw the host of this party digging a grave outside.
Listen, I was just wondering.
Oh, I think it was in the bedroom when I last saw it.
Anyway, apparently no one can see or hear him all of a sudden. Oh, now he's gonna leave. Seeing a guy digging a grave outside was no big deal, but when people start ignoring him, that's crossing a line.
You're not all that in a bag of chips, Pinhead.
Oh, well, that makes sense. They're all dead.
Oh, hi, Isaiah.
Or maybe not. Oh yeah, Derek exists.
Oh, and
until
bye.
He starts
Thanks for
having
stopping
an asthma
by.
attack. And his inhaler ends up getting kicked down a grate. Oh, there's a great visual. Anyway, Mike gets a call from Chelsea, who asks him to come and help her.
Damn it.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have blown me off.
Okay, that's kind of funny. Also, I'm sorry, but that's not much of a blowjob if you can just talk on the phone normally while it's going on.
I'm serious. I need your help.
Anyway, he hangs up on Chelsea. Asshole. I'm gonna tell Martha on you. But now he's having a hallucination, part of which, again, is
And
being
that's the
buried
last of
alive
the
in a
Superman
coffin.
references, I think. I
Meanwhile,
haven't actually seen
Derek,
any of the
despite supposedly having
Zack
an asthma
Snyder
attack,
Superman.
goes down several flights of stairs to get his inhaler. I mean, do you really need it that bad? Oh my god, I love how all these medical tools are all out in the open where anyone could grab them. Like that's not a lawsuit waiting to happen. So, dude finally gets to use his inhaler. Just in time for Pinhead to show up, who reaches for a big-ass meat cleaver of all things, because that's a weapon Pinhead would use. And then he doesn't even say anything. I hate to say it, but the Pinhead appearances in this one are kind of lacking so far. Back to Jake, he looks up and sees a nun, so he follows her upstairs. Except that she doesn't look so much like a nun now. And she's definitely not acting the part. So they do it. And then another vision of Adam digging that grave. Okay, why is the puzzle box doing that? I mean, of course I get that means that the Cenobites are coming, but how and why did he dig a grave to trigger that? Instead of just solving the puzzle like everyone else? At least we get another second of Pinhead.
You could just throw
Back
it
to
like
Chelsea, she's still in the room she got locked in, and somehow gets a call from Allison.
And I thought you had a high threshold. Don't worry about Alice. You'll see her again. Sooner than you think.
Then she finally thinks to call 911. The cops do show up.
Young woman says her friends are being taken hostage or something.
I'm entertaining some guests here tonight.
Do you mind if we look around?
I'd rather you didn't.
Even if they're all so blind to the red flags. They hear Chelsea over the phone but don't see her.
What the fuck are you talking about? I'm right here, look!
So she and Jake are both experiencing being invisible.
Yeah, I don't want to sound nosy, but
what's a guy like you do with a big house like this anyhow?
I love to party.
Well, we're past the halfway point, and frankly, there's so much padding in this movie that I haven't really spoiled that much, so I'm ending part 1 here. If you haven't seen this movie yet and want to for some reason, be sure to do that before watching part 2.
When did I start adding those at the end of a part 1 video? Huh. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick. I guess I'll get some more drink too. I'll be right back. Okay, I meant to pour myself some lemonade, but instead I poured orange. Orange Crystal Light is really good though. It tastes surprisingly like orange juice. I mean, obviously it has artificial sweetener in it, but other than that, it really tastes a lot like orange juice. Oh my god, how far behind am I? Oh, Red Spade was talking about having Hellworld on VHS and how it's a bit nostalgic. And then, having said that and seen it again, well, it's not good, haha. Oh, Special Iron's here. You missed a couple of Red Dwarf references. Didn't show up yet. I'll see what your super chat says in a minute. The Halloween resurrection of the Hellraiser movies. Oh, you like my celestial, the Princess Celestia figure? Thank you. Yeah, I like that figure. It's pretty cool. There it is. Well, I said I'd be back for breakfast. How are those skippers doing? Hi, Special Iron. Like I said, you missed a couple of Red Dwarf references, but I've already forgotten what they were. Oh yeah, there's one with Kat earlier. It was from season 8, whatever. It's not funny if I explain it. You just have to go back and watch. You know, Hell taking over a game just makes me think Doom and not like a Hellraiser video game. Pat Carroll, who played Ursula, is dead too. Oh, that's a bummer. Oh. Oh, thank you, Red Spade. How's this for a wake-up donation? Oh, God. That cover reminds me of how the Wachowski sisters started out writing Hellraiser comics. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah, I think I said goodbye to Shay. Celebs are dropping like flies. Lately, it's 2016 all over again. That sucked, man. That was like, that was right at the end of the year, too, if I remember correctly. As if 2016 wasn't a bad enough year already. Why do all horror movie sequels have the same subtitles? Resurrection, Revelation, Retribution, and don't forget the 3D. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mentioned that there's also Silent Hill Revelation. Well, no, this is Hellworld. There is Hell. Oh my God, what happened to my brain just now? There's Hellraiser Revelations, and then there's Silent Hill Revelation. So that's kind of funny how that works out. The resurrection of the return of the Revelations of Retribution 3D. Yeah, I said goodbye to Styx too. And you've got a golden ticket. You've got a golden chance to get some hooks. Puzzle box pasties, I like that. I'm surprised that Teen Titans 03 never had a Hellraiser reference. I doubt that anyone who was in this movie wants to admit it. So Hell on Earth is the so bad it's good movie, and this movie is the movie that's just bad. I guess that sounds about right. Oh yeah, Millennium. I forgot about that show. I'd say Allison being dumb is the most Hellraiser part of this movie so far. Usually the characters aren't so dumb that they spray themselves in the eyes with perfume on purpose. That's like too dumb to live levels of dumb. The second character named Allison. It's like the old Hammer, Dracula, and Frankenstein movies where everyone was named Paul and Hans. That's funny, I didn't know that. Not familiar enough with the Hammer movies. Cool story, bro. What's this got to do with Hellraiser stuff? Not wearing masks, eh? Timely. Yeah. I almost didn't get that when you first posted it. I'm trapped and can't act scared. Help me. Man of Steel was Batman v Superman wasn't much better, and Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League, while a bit long, is good. That sounds about what I've heard. This isn't funny bad, it's just bad. Some of it's funny bad. How many clothes is she wearing? None. This time around, there are no sights to show you. Lance Henriksen is the new party cop. The creators of this movie heard we like Pinhead, so they gave us less Pinhead while shoving unlikable characters in our face. Excuse me. Personally, I think that Henry Cavill wasn't a bad Superman, but he was wasted by bad directing. I've heard that a lot, actually. Also weird to think that you legit gave this movie an award for lamest BJ in a movie. Not what you'd expect from Hellraiser. Yeah. You'd think if anybody would be good at that, it'd be a character in a Hellraiser movie. Hi, Speedy Yoshi. I don't think I saw you commenting before. Are you planning on uploading these streams anywhere? I will once I... Yeah, I plan on making them so that people can watch them later once they're not blocked anymore due to copyright. I am he. We're on the bad movie. Well, one of two bad movies. This one is the worst for me. Is it appropriate that this video is my wake-up call? Oh, hi, George. That is pretty funny. God damn it. Out of interest, how much longer do you think the stream is going to go? And I noticed in my notifications you got screwed by YouTube at least once. Yep. This is the second stream. I'm just going to go until I finish. I'm hoping that'll be by 5. So we'll just have to see. 2016 was a wild year. Yeah. Oh, you're always missed when you're not here, Special Iron. ...2016 started with David Bowie and Alan Rickman dying one after another. That sucked. Oh, yeah. Hellworld did Pinhead open his own theme park. No, in this movie's universe, Hellworld is a fucking video game. The Hellraiser franchise is a video game called Hellworld. It's fucking stupid. Oh yeah, Styx left shortly before you showed up. I forgot about that. Yeah, you've got a bit of catching up to do. Out of interest, did the Hell Priest pop up again tonight? It was sure nice of him to do that yesterday. No, he hasn't, at least not yet. Looking at the above comments regarding Henry Cavill, and I recall my quip where his flying on that hook and chain was like his Superman audition. I was surprised that Hellraiser Hell video game is wherever this movie is called actually has director's commentary track. It does? Oh my god. I hope it's just somebody apologizing over and over like that gag in The Simpsons. I imagine he's busy with sights to show and pain to inflict. I guess the Hellraiser movies don't give good head unless it has pins in it. There you go. It's funny hearing Dina talk about finishing by 5 p.m., but for me it's about to be 6 p.m. Yeah. She looked around the room and saw chains, blindfolds, whips. She was beginning to realize what asking Pinhead out entailed. 53 after midnight at your place. Wow. According to a Lost Media series I followed, there was a Hellraiser game that was canceled at the last minute, so we almost got a real-life Hellraiser game. Yeah, and I want to say it was done in, like, the Doom engine? I might be remembering wrong there. Oh, Hellworld is bad. For me, it's the worst of the Hellraiser movies. I think it's worse than Revelations. Most people don't agree with me, but... The theme park comment gives me an idea for Hellraiser movies starring Jeffrey Rush's character from House on Haunted Hill. Cenobites still probably return Glenn Miller. Oh no, they were very positive and happy and self-congratulatory over making fun of how little money and time they had making it. That's fair. What I'm here for is none of your concern, but for your information, I'm here for pain and pleasure, mainly pain. Has there even been a Cenobite so far? I think Pinhead's the only Cenobite to show up so far. Hellworld is pretty damn bad, but except for the gore, Revelations to me is worse. It's like they just put in just the minimum of effort. I can see Dina's point of view, though, as it misused Doug Bradley. Yeah. For whatever reason, my brain always crosses wires and I confuse Hell on Earth and Hellworld. Alright. Welcome back to Hellworld. The story so far is that 2 years after their friend Adam's death, 5 assholes went to a video game-themed rave hosted by Lance Henriksen, who has turned out to be a villain, and 2 of them have been killed, with the 3rd probably on the way. Because this is basically a slasher film that has fuck all to do with Hellraiser. Despite the occasional appearance of Pinhead, who has mostly only said, "Adam was right," and variations of that so far.
I believe the only one? Come on, stud. It's your turn.
I don't care how bad her blowjob was, you better go south, young man. So Mike and the chick he picked up are going at it, but she ends up locking him in that room with the specimens where Derek was killed earlier. No, I think Revelations was always meant to be a Hellraiser film. I'm honestly surprised there wasn't another jump scare here.
Of course. Latex.
Oh, and speaking of which, there's Derek's body.
Even put in Derek's clothes.
I think he's finally starting Pinhead's to figure out death that it's not happens fake. In the future. If nothing else, you couldn't fake the smell that's probably coming from that. And there's Derek's head in a jar.
Hello? Anybody?
Oh, Pinhead works fast.
Somebody?
Someone was just killed in there. Isn't it kind of a bad idea to draw attention to yourself when the killer could still be around? What's a bad idea? I love that gag. Oh hey, there are other Cenobites in this movie.
I used that in 2 different
one so
Hellraiser
far.
movies.
Hellbound 2. And yeah, I think we could have predicted that something horrible was going to happen to Mike involving the hook he was looking at earlier. By the way, you can kind of see it anyway if you're paying attention, but if you watch this in slow motion, you can really tell that they just had the big hook swing by next to him and had him react when it was on the other side of him, if only because the chain also appears to go into his back. Yes, we are at Hellworld. I took a
That does
fox.
look painful, though.
Bound 2 is like, how'd I do, boss?
This is just the beginning.
Okay. Meanwhile, the cops leave, but at least Chelsea's door opens. She chases after them to no avail, and then tries to start a car that's out of gas.
Like a bad horror movie, isn't it?
No movie, you don't get to make that joke. It's too late to play the meta card, and it's not even a joke so much as stating a fact. Also, her awkward flailing run through the woods is unintentionally hilarious. Back to Jake, he starts hallucinating Adam digging the grave again.
None of us could have seen him taking the game as far as he did.
And now we know why he had a closed casket at his funeral. It also explains this guy. Back to Chelsea, she runs into a cop. I thought no one could see her.
I'm at the old house.
Oh, I guess this was an excuse to have Pinhead show up again.
There is no way out for you, Chelsea.
He finally says a Pinhead-like line, but it just rings hollow in this context.
Wonders we have to show you.
Yeah, that noise didn't kill the mood at all. Anyway, she gets a call from Jake luring her back to the house.
Leave me here, Chelsea, don't leave me here!
Because it was the host using some kind of voice changer. So she runs back to the house to find everyone gone, and calls Jake.
No, I'm fine, I'm fine.
I didn't think the fire effect was bad. To find out that he's not the one who called her. And there's Chatterer 3. I guess Mike wearing the mask earlier was meant to foreshadow this.
Whatever you, Mike.
Not this one, Chelsea.
Oh fuck, I thought these characters dying meant I wouldn't have to put up with them anymore. Not fair. So they chase Chelsea up some stairs, saying some cliche shit. Along with Adam was right, but she manages to lock herself in the attic. Cool, yet another jump scare. At least they didn't set up this one so you could see it coming a mile away. Don't worry, there's more of those coming. And then she gets another call from the host.
Give me a break, you don't know how World's from your ass.
Then how come you're in it?
Get your mythology right, buddy. First, I have to open the box. Then Pinhead appears.
Okay, nobody in this movie gets to complain about someone not understanding the Hellraiser franchise. Also, priorities. You're trapped in a house with a psychopath and your friends are being murdered, but he doesn't know the game. Meanwhile, Jake has his own run-in with Chatterer 3. Oops, or not.
I'm sorry.
Of course that wasn't the real Chelsea. She was way too dignified. She didn't do nearly enough awkward flailing and screaming.
The fuck is going on? Who the fuck is this?
Whoa, Jay, calm down. It's just me, Chelsea.
Anyway, Chelsea has a theory.
Could this place be a portal? I mean, to the real hell world.
I'm not buying it. Where's the engineers? Where are the jailers?
At least none of these jump scares involved a Pop-Tart.
Take your soul away, that's it.
It can't be that, because it's not accurate to the game. Jesus Christ, the dialogue in this movie.
Suppose we're in hell because we belong here.
For what?
We're not saving Adam.
Pinhead.
From himself.
Also, I'm really tired of this business about how it's all their fault that their friend killed himself and they deserve the worst. Like, okay, it's normal that someone might feel some guilt about a friend's suicide, but it's been 2 years since his death, and the movie doesn't really show us enough of what happened, at least from their perspective, to give us a good reason why they're so dead set in the belief that it's all their fault. Like their friend doesn't have any personal responsibility in this whatsoever. It just comes across like they're determined to make his death all about them.
At the rate we're going.
So, get out of Tara's bed, you big old butt.
Chelsea, when we get out of this place, I promise you the most beautiful sunrise ever. Where are you?
I locked myself in the attic. You don't even want to know why.
I love how she just saw her dead friends as zombies and she's just kind of laughing it off now. Afterwards, Jake sees the bottle of wine from earlier and makes the connection that all of them were drugged earlier. Except that Mike got a double dose apparently, which of course doesn't get acknowledged. Meanwhile, Chelsea finds pictures of Adam and another picture that's going to be revealed later. Stupid fucking twist. Apparently he starts beckoning her through a hole in the floor. Or that's what she thinks is happening. Oh no, go ahead. Just stick your hand right into that dark hole where you have no idea what's actually in there. Clearly that's the smart thing to do. Jump scare in 3, 2... Why are these characters so fucking stupid? I'm not even gonna waste the red flag on them anymore. Jake hears her screaming and tells her what he's realized, that all of this is a big hallucination.
They really trying to have a heartwarming moment.
And I guess that worked.
Try was the right word.
Jake! Gosh, I'm so glad these two are getting together. I care about them so much.
This whole Hellworld thing has been one big trap. We've been brought here for some reason, I don't know why, but...
So, here's that picture that Chelsea found a minute ago. The host is Adam's absent dad, who was mentioned in the beginning. Oh, but the movie's not done being stupid. You're gonna love this.
So soon, without even saying goodbye.
Goodbye, asshole.
Cover all the Hellraiser movies, I said. It'll be fun, I said. Yeah, right. So now we're back out in the
Another
woods
Mortal
again,
Kombat
and they come
reference.
across 5 graves, each with what's basically a breathing tube. Jake figures out that it's where all of their physical bodies are.
You ought to pat yourself on the back, Jake. Everything worked out just like you said it would.
God bless Lance Henriksen. This movie doesn't deserve him.
The rest of them I knew would respond.
Love that shrug.
But you, I wasn't sure about.
So remember how Jake had met a girl online who was supposed to be at the party? Well, that was actually the host who ended up getting a lot of information.
No, they are way more stupid than other Hellraiser characters.
That
Stop saying
about
that.
His horrible friends and how they're all to blame for Adam's death.
The myth of Lamasham, the puzzle box, Hellworld, how the game itself would be the perfect weapon to do everybody in.
We've detected copyrighted audio in your video in your stream. Your stream may be temporarily blocked. Fuck. Okay, starting another stream, I guess. Although, right now it's still going. Let me see what happens here. Well, I'm still... Oh, I guess it went out. Okay.
So remember how Jake had met a girl online who was supposed to be at...
You, I wasn't sure about.
So...
Knew would respond to a private party invitation. But you, I wasn't sure about.